Hey everybody, Jorge here, reviewing The Fate of the Furious, directed by F. Gary Gray, starring Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Michelle Rodriguez, and Scott Eastwood, among others. So, the movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes long. I thought the movie was too long. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that taken away. And at one point, it seemed like there were three factions, each fighting each other. Vin Diesel's group, his former friends, and the army. But Dwayne Johnson in the movie is part of the army. So why did the army attack Dwayne Johnson's group? I do not understand. So, as is often happening in these major Hollywood movies, I don't know what's going on in them. I get lost. I think it's not my fault. I think it's the story's fault. It's the movie's fault, because they should be able to clearly communicate an idea, which is a narrative point, a plot point. They should be able to communicate this plot point well to his viewers. And I just don't think that the movie did a good job of explaining every part of the nooks and crannies of the, I don't know, what would you call it, the alliances. I just think that it gets convoluted. It gets highly convoluted because it's trying to give you these pointers. Okay, these guys are attacking those guys, and those guys are attacking those guys, these guys, and then these guys are attacking those guys back because blah 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 blah. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And that's how I felt like in the movie. I thought that, it's just very convoluted. I think a lot of these movies, these Hollywood movies that are coming out, are convoluted. And unlike my review for How to Be a Latin Lover, which didn't have a big, budget, it was able to tell the story pretty well. And part of the reason it was able to do that is because it didn't take itself seriously, and because you're not trying to impress anybody. You're just trying to make a movie, and you're just trying to make a good movie. So in that sense, you are trying to impress, but you're not trying to go all out and the fancy dresses and the narrative fancy dresses, the narrative fancy lights, the fancy houses, the fancy plot points. You're not trying to go for the fancy. You're trying to go for making a good movie and a straightforward movie. And How to Be a Latin Lover did that. The Fate of the Furious did not. I thought it was just way too convoluted, and I didn't like it. And I thought the movie was way too long because of that. Cat. Yeah. The movie it grossed at the box office $1.163 billion. That's a shitload of money. And movies are still strong. It's just that the medium of movies and entertainment in movies is... Sorry, my cat. Not my cat, my sister's cat. YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, they're all changing the medium of how we're watching, and everybody's desperately fighting for attention. Your attention. The viewer's attention. I'm fighting for your attention. So, me putting these things on YouTube is a perfect example of that, where it's getting divided. It's a democratic process where you choose who you view, who you watch, and they have no power over that. But this movie was bound to make a lot of money. The advertising for it. This is the 8th movie, so this is a well-established, film. It was completely different from the other ones, though. I have to tell you, to be honest, it was completely different. It was more, good guys versus bad guys, whereas in other movies, the point is, it was more of an action flick than a car flick. And I've seen almost all of all the Fast and the Furious movies. I've seen like 7 of them. Of 8, I've seen 7. So I know what I'm talking about when I say that this movie was more of an action flick instead of a car action flick. So there's a lot of cars that come out in the movies. You know, those are the main features. One of the main features of these movies is the cars. But in this movie, not really. Even though there's a Lambo in the movie, there's a Lamborghini, and one of the black guys uses it. You know, it's still not the main feature. It's not. The main point is the action, the plot that takes place between these three factions. And I thought that this movie was bound to make a movie a lot of money just because look at the way that it was advertised and who the characters they brought in. Dwayne Johnson, they brought in back Vin Diesel because sometimes he's on and off with those movies. They had Michelle Rodriguez, or whatever her name is Rodriguez, right? Oh, my fucking cat. Michelle Rodriguez, right? Michelle Rodriguez, that's right. So, yeah, I thought that, you know, this movie was very different from the other ones. It was more of a triple X, you know, you've seen triple X, it's like, oh my god, there's like bombs, explosions, we must get them. We must capture them. They are bad, we are good. And, oh wait, look, they think they are good guys too, so they're gonna fight off against each other, and whoever does best, whoever's smarter is gonna be the winner. So, and in the other movies, it's more like, oh, look at this awesome ass car. I'm gonna drive it. We're gonna race. We're gonna have pride on the line. And that happens at the beginning of the movie, so they kind of played an homage to that. But you know, part of what I didn't like about the movie was this representation of Cuba, because it gives off this portrayal that Cuba is this island where, you know, fancy cars and old-fashioned fancy cars and fucking races and really hot girls and girls in bikinis and girls that the likes that you've never seen, and guys are just like the cool guys, and there's just cars fucking everywhere. And I'm like, this is what Cuba opened its borders for, to America for, to fucking portray Cuba as this country that's like this Latin lover, you know, intermixed, you know, intermix, you know, like this popping dating scene and shit. I'm just like, whatever. Way to play off on a stereotype. That's what I thought when I saw the movie in the beginning. I mean, I liked the race. It was pretty good. And, you know, the idea is that you don't have to have a lot of money. You can just be really fucking smart and really dedicated, and it's going to work out. And that's not always true, because chances are, if you've seen what our universities look like, where students are disproportionately middle class, you know, just to give you an example of the meritocracy that is in America, where if you just try really hard and you're going to do it, look at education. And look at how, you know, most people there have 4.0s and above. Fuck. Back. Okay, so yeah, like, look at education. Look at, like, everybody has at least a 4.0 in an elite college. Everybody is from the middle class and above. Some people are even like royalty, so they'll come, you know, they'll say like, fuck our population, fuck our people. But when it comes to school, fuck that. Let's go and go to the good school and make a showing of myself. And it's obvious when people are not. Like, I saw this guy who was like African royalty, and I'm pretty sure he was African royalty because of the way he carried himself. But let's go back to the movie. You know, it gives the impression he had this like very dilapidated, torn down car against this very new car. And the message that the movie's trying to get you is, if you try hard enough, even if you don't have the gear, you can do it. And it's funny because they're such hypocrites, because Hollywood has a shitload of money. How much money did they put into this movie? $250 million. And honestly, that's kind of stingy, because they could have put in a lot more money, considering that they knew that the movie was going to make a shitload of money. And Hollywood is the nice car, and everybody else is the shitty car. And yet they will tell you, you shitty car are the ones that can do it if you try hard enough. And it's always about meritocracy. and I fucking hate that shit. And I'm like, wow, this is a good start. But yeah, so perceptions, you know, the Latin America, the Caribbean is seen as this like idyllic place where it's just banging with these hot ass girls, and you know, and just to give you an idea, I don't know, I just thought that the movie was kind of shallow. Like, you have to be careful in how you portray and how you carry out things in the movies. You can't. It's like you can't just throw an explosion just to police people, because it has to have a purpose and it has to fill a narrative gap, a plot point. You have to explode the car because he blew it up because they were the people inside the vehicle were going to attack them if they didn't blow it up. Things like that. But if you just do it just to please people, I don't know. I think you have to be careful. I think you do have to please people. You do have that responsibility, but it's how you carry it out that you have to be careful with. But yeah, that's my review of this movie. Thanks for watching.